Fossil fuels, including coal, oil, and natural gas, have been the main source of power over the past century. Currently, only about 30% of global energy is generated through renewable sources. We need to create technology that can generate sustainable energy. Today, we are going to look at what are some of the most important things to consider when you're designing technology that can generate renewable energy. I'm Erica, and welcome to Creative Engineering. Right now, engineers are working together to try and develop new technology that can address the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Just a couple of these goals include creating affordable and accessible clean energy, and also developing sustainable cities and communities. Before we begin our design process, it's so important you guys know how to implement the design cycle. If you haven't had a chance to check out our video where we break down the design cycle into its individual steps, then please go check out that video first and then come back to this one when you're ready to start designing. Now let's dive right in. There's a couple of key things for us to consider when we're trying to design a new technology. We need to consider, where do we want our technology to be implemented? It's so important to think about this because each unique community or climate or culture will have different things that we need to consider before we can start designing a technology to fit their specific needs. For example, ocean turbines will be more effective in coastal areas that have higher tides. And similarly, a small solar generation system would be very applicable for a small off-grid community looking to introduce electricity into their homes. We need to think about how we can work with our target audience to ensure that the technology that we're designing meets their specific needs. An example of a company that works really well with their target audience is Solar Panda. Solar Panda works directly with small off-grid communities in order to bring them clean, safe, and affordable home solar systems. I think that this company is so cool because they're taking the idea of renewable energy a step further by thinking of how can we make it accessible for people who otherwise wouldn't have electricity in their homes. When you consider that 1.6 billion people still don't have access to electricity in their homes, it really goes to show that this is the kind of thinking and technology that is going to be changing the future of clean, sustainable, and accessible energy. Next thing that we need to consider is how can we improve on the renewable energy resources that already exist. Things like solar, hydro, and wind. These are great technologies, but there's tons of room for them to be improved to become more efficient, more accessible, and more sustainable. An innovation such as the Hummingbird wind turbine is an excellent example of how someone took the already existing technology of wind turbines and improved it to be that much better. These new Hummingbird turbines are smaller, quieter, and safer for migrating birds than a traditional wind turbine is. Because these Hummingbird wind turbines are smaller and quieter, it actually allows us to have a higher density of them in urban areas. This keeps us from needing large wind farms in remote locations that then require us to transfer all of the energy and electricity back into the urban areas where it's actually needed. You see, even the slightest improvements in already existing technology can have huge impacts. The best part is that there's infinite opportunities for this kind of innovation and improvement within already existing technology. Another thing that we could consider is how to empower communities to actually engage with the clean energy generation systems that is going to be used to power their cities and their communities. Earlier we discussed how important it is to consider where your technology will be implemented. It's also worth considering who's going to be using this technology, and is there a way to encourage them to use it more to generate more clean power. A company called PaveGen does exactly that. They've created sidewalk-like surfaces for people to walk on in order to generate clean energy. They also use a reward system that actually benefits users whenever they walk on them. When someone walks on a PaveGen tile, their weight vertically displaces an electromagnetic induction generator that actually produces off-grid electricity. Designs like this directly engage with users by offering them incentives to use it and also making them more aware of how easy it is to actually generate clean energy in their day-to-day lives. Imagine a city that is completely paved by walkways and roadways that generate clean electricity every time someone walks on them. This is the kind of thinking that's going to lead to someday self-sustaining cities. Try thinking about some instances where people could generate clean electricity in their day-to-day activities. Let us know in the comment section down below what activities you've come up with. In order to solve problems, you have to be compassionate and considerate of the people and the planet that is going to be affected by your technology. We at Creative Engineering hope that you feel inspired to get involved and start thinking, creating, discussing, and designing new ways that we can generate accessible and sustainable clean energy. We also hope that some of the new innovations we've mentioned today will help to guide your creative design journey. Thank you for watching this video, and if you got any value out of it, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell icon so that you never miss a new video. We will be posting new videos every week to empower students to develop their skills in design thinking while taking a creative approach to real-world engineering problems.